We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's Voice to the World. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. The presidential race remains neck to neck as the US awaits the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. Wildfires fueled by soaring temperatures in the western United States forces thousands to flee. Brazil faces severe drought amid devastating wildfires and low water levels in rivers. EU Foreign Policy Chief says European Union ready to offer logistical capacities to reopen Rafah border, urges political solution for Gaza conflict. US markets gives thumbs up as Apple unveils new iPhone series built for generative artificial intelligence. And end of an unforgettable era as Hollywood mourns the demise of award-winning American stage legend James Earl Jones. And on to some details now. U.S. presidential race remains neck to neck as the U.S. awaits the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. The 90-minute debate organized by ABC News will take place at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia at 9 p.m. local time, that is 1 hours GMT. Pre-written notes are prohibited and mics will be muted to ensure a fair exchange. Polls indicate a tight race, making this debate crucial in shaping voter opinion. DD India's Syed Absarul Hassan has filed this report.
The much-awaited U.S. presidential television debate will take place on Tuesday. Presidential hopefuls Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will lock horns, which is expected to be watched across the world. U.S. broadcaster ABC News will be holding the 90 minutes debate at National Constitution Center in Philadelphia at 9 p.m. local time and will be aired live. The two candidates have never met in person. U.S. presidential hopeful Kamala Harris is ready to face her opponent Donald Trump in the debate.
Trump wants to jail election workers. Madam Vice President, do you have a reaction?
Madam Vice President, how will you handle it on the debate stage if Trump decides to launch a personal attack?
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready.
Former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump continued his attack on Kamala Harris and accused her to be the worst vice president in the history of the United States.
This wealth fund will return a gigantic profit, which will help pay down national debt. We're going to work on national debt very strongly, by the way. We're going to have so much money coming in. We're going to work on national debt. We're at close to $36 trillion right now. We're going to work on getting it down. And it is many of the people in this room who will be helping to advise and recommend investments for this fund. This is how we will end the era of inflation, mayhem, and misery under Kamala Harris, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Donald Trump has been...
The rule of the debate is different from other television debates. No opening statements are allowed, but they will be allotted 2 minutes to answer each question, with 2 minutes granted to their opponents for a rebuttal, and there will be an additional minute for a follow-up, clarification, and response against the rebuttal. Pre-written notes and materials are not allowed in the debate. Candidates are given a pen and paper to note down their questions and comments. Questions or topics are not shared in advance with any candidates, and mic of one of the candidate will be muted when the other is speaking. According to polls released, the US presidential race remains neck and neck. Syed Absarul Hassan reporting for DD India.
And DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us for more on the debates. Well, Akshay, the much-anticipated high-stake debate tonight will be a crucial moment for both the candidates as they vie for the voter support ahead of the November 5th election and face each other for the first time. What all can be expected as the debate can swing the outcome of the race?
Well, it's going to be a fiery debate, obviously, given the kind of politicized atmosphere that we're seeing in the United States. It's clear that Donald Trump is going to attack Kamala Harris with all that he has got. In fact, vice versa is true as well. Kamala Harris is also going to target the presidential term of Donald Trump. And in fact, what happened and how, in 2020, there was a lot of ruckus when it came to, handing over the power to Joe Biden as the president. Now, we are looking at two possible scenarios here. Kamala Harris is going to go into personal allegations against Donald Trump, his charges that have also been, proved against Donald Trump, as well as his policies that have been quite unpopular in several segments of the society. So that is going to be the target of Kamala Harris, whereas Donald Trump is certainly going to question the reason why Joe Biden had to, give the matter to Kamala Harris and drop out of the presidential race. So that is going to be the key focus of Donald Trump. It appears that because it has been so far from the public rallies, these have been the talking points. However, the pollsters that are conducting all of these polls in the United States are clearly showing a neck-to-neck fight between the two leaders. In fact, one of the most promising candidate, according to the Times average survey, is the Democrat candidate. And in fact, when it comes to the New York Times poll, it is showing an edge to the Republican Party. So the competition is going to be quite tough, but it will depend a lot on the debate, on how it is going to swing. Especially when we talk about most of the swing states of the United States, it is going to depend a lot on the debates, on the questions, on the kind of answers and responses that the leaders are going to give, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, on how their party is going to fare in the upcoming elections in the United States. So it is a highly competitive poll, as well as it has in fact become quite in layman term quite toxic when it comes to attacking the opponents, because it's not just on the policies, it's not just on the decisions that both of them have taken in the when they have been in power, when Kamala Harris was the vice president and Donald Trump was the president, but it is also going at a personal level is what we are seeing. And it is going to be quite a tough competition for both of these, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, in the upcoming debate.
Right, Akshay, as you said, it can become toxic, and the debate is also said to be a reflection of how dramatically the race has shifted in the recent months. For our viewers, could you elaborate on the rules of the debate, as the mics will also be muted after much anticipation?
Well, it is going to be, quite interesting to see how, in that limited time frame, the leaders are going to, put all of their points in front of the public. Because we have seen earlier as well that the careful utilization of the time that has been given to each and every candidate to respond to questions and to ask questions is going to be extremely important. Because if the leaders are not able to, sum up as far as their given time slots of 2 minutes are concerned to respond to questions, it is going to be difficult for both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris to, in fact, explain their policies. But it is going to be a very interesting debate to see how the two leaders are going to put their point forth as far as the upcoming election is concerned. But also, Lipakshi, a very important point is also the fact that the voters of the United States are also keenly watching this deteriorating debate in some sorts as far as the personal attacks against against each other are concerned. And there has been a growing concern about it as well. That is this what the country has to offer in terms of leaders? So that is going to be quite an interesting thing to see. But we are all waiting for the debate to be conducted to see how the voters of the United States are going to respond to the debate that's going to take place in a matter of few hours now.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for giving us those details. And moving on, U.S. President Joe Biden celebrated the 34th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act on Monday. Biden highlighted his and Vice President Kamala Harris's commitment in advancing opportunities for people with disabilities by fostering economic transformation. He also praised the efforts of U.S. Paralympic athletes and the Paris Paralympic Games.
But for more than 61 million Americans living with disabilities, these laws are a source of opportunity, respect, and pride, and dignity now. Dignity. Kamala and I have been so determined to move our nation forward for Americans living with disabilities. We're transforming the way the economy works for all Americans. For example, people with disabilities are working more than they ever did before. And our short term, my short term, our short term, going to be a long term for Kamala, I hope.
Well, the high-decibel U.S. presidential election campaign has already got worldwide attention as the battle of 2024. The speeches, statements, allegations where both the camps have, in fact, become regular news fodder for global media houses. And spicing it all are the advertisements that either camp is releasing about the other.
The high-stakes race for the White House has become a no-holds-barred verbal duel between U.S. Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican nominee and former U.S. President Donald Trump. Apart from speeches and personal assaults, the campaign teams have been rather busy churning out many advertisements. And many of these ads are more about the opponents rather than the policies and issues at helm. Kamala Harris's campaign team has targeted what it claims Trump's lies in one of these ads.
$35 insulin. You know who did that? I did that.
Obviously not true. Here's Joe Biden signing that piece of legislation.
In another advertisement, Harris-Walz's campaign team got a collage of many of Trump's former associates who have now gone against him. On the other hand, Team Trump is also not letting up any efforts to target Kamala Harris's record as the Vice President of the United States. The Trump campaign team has also targeted Biden administration's policies on inflation.
Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics.
Trump is also endorsing a film made on him by an independent filmmaker. All this part of his campaign. The debate on Tuesday will be one of the most watched TV news shows in the US, with viewers from across the strata glued to their TV screens to know more about the candidates and their views on the issues that matter to each one of them. Also watching rather keenly and to the minutest of details will be the campaign team from both the camps. The debate will surely generate television rating points for TV channel Tuesday night and perhaps news points for the media houses across the globe. But the debate will also prove to be a treasure trove for campaign teams as they search more material for targeted advertisements in the run-up to November 5th polling. Bureau Report, TD India.
While U.S. police officers were combing a dense forest on Monday to locate a man 3 days after he was suspected of shooting open fire on a highway, injuring 5 people. Schools were closed and residents were urged not to be home alone as police used a helicopter, drones and dogs to aid them in their search in rural Kentucky in the southeast United States. Authorities have offered a $5,000 reward for any information leading to them to couch. The incident comes after a 14-year-old boy was arrested for allegedly shooting 2 teachers and 2 students dead at a high school in Georgia on Wednesday. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in the United Kingdom ahead of talks with officials about Ukraine and the Middle East on Monday. During the 2-day trip, Blinken will meet with senior government officials to discuss issues including the Indo-Pacific, the AUKUS Defense Pact between the U.S., Australia, Britain and the Middle East, and collective efforts to support Ukraine. The visit comes a week after Britain suspended some arms export licenses with Israel over equipment that could be used in the conflict with Gaza. And White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that the United States cannot confirm reports that Iran had supplied Russia with ballistic missiles.
I cannot confirm the reports that the transfer has happened, but I would point you to what we've said in the past, that any such provision of that kind of technology would not only have a deleterious effect on the Ukrainians' ability to continue to defend themselves and certainly on the lives and livelihoods of Ukrainians, but could, depending on what the deal, how it's consummated, have equally deleterious effects on the Middle East. And Iran that already has an improving ballistic missile program.
And still to come in DD India News Hour. Former Venezuelan presidential candidate Gonzalez pledges to continue fight for the opposition. Typhoon Yagi creates havoc in northern Vietnam, hit by most powerful storm in 30 years. Kate Middleton announces completion of preventative chemotherapy for cancer. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepak Shikuran, and moving on, updates on Israel-Hamas conflict now. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said Monday the European Union is ready to leverage its logistics to assist in reopening the border crossing. In a visit to Egypt's side of the Rafah border crossing, Borrell also mentioned sanctions proposed against ministers, agencies and institutions implicated in the illegal expansion of colonies in the West Bank. Borrell toured the border operations guided by the Egyptian Red Crescent and met in Cairo with the country's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
I made a proposal to the Foreign Affairs Council Minister to impose sanctions in 2 Israeli government ministers for hate speech. And the Council discussed about it and decided to go to the technical bodies. It's still not yes, it's still not no. I don't know which will be the final result, but it's still not no. The technical bodies of the Council are working on it. There are not only these 2 ministers, but also some agencies, some institutions, which we believe are responsible for the illegal expansion of colonies in the West Bank, which are also being proposed as sanctions.
Well, the United States called on Israel on Monday to complete a full inquiry into the killing of an American-Turkish woman last week in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. In a briefing, U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel urged Israel to quickly and robustly conduct its probe and make the findings public, but confirmed the administration is not planning to independently investigate the killing of Aynusur Ezgi Aigi. Meanwhile, hundreds of mourners gathered in Nablus in the occupied West Bank to pay respects to a U.S.-Turkish activist.
We have urged a swift, thorough, and transparent investigation and are urgently working to get more information as possible as it relates to the circumstances of her death. We have no higher priority than the safety and security of American citizens, especially those that are abroad. Our understanding is that our partners in Israel are looking into the circumstances of what happened, and we expect them to make their findings public, and expect that whatever those findings are, expect them to be thorough and transparent.
Well, Germany is extending temporary border controls that it already has in place at some of its borders to all of its land borders to tackle irregular migration. Germany's Interior Ministry said they would be asking for temporary internal border controls at the land borders with France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium and Denmark for a period of 6 months. The German government has been consulting with the main opposition party on ways to curb migration and following a deadly knife attack by a Syrian asylum seeker last month in the city of Solingen. Meanwhile, Austria's Interior Minister Gerhard Kahner said on Monday that his country would not take in any migrants turned away by Germany at the border. And Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, said that former presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez would continue to fight for the opposition from Spain while she would continue to do so within Venezuela. Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez flew into Spain to seek asylum hours after quitting his country amid a political and diplomatic crisis over July's disputed election. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said authorities had given Gonzalez safe passage in a bid to restore political peace. Spain's foreign ministry said there had been no official talks with the Venezuelan government on Gonzalez's exit. The opposition is pressing for more street protest and international pressure for its victory to be recognized. And meanwhile, White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that Venezuelan president needs to release election data from July's disputed election to address global concerns about its validity.
I won't get into hypotheticals one way or another about Mr. Gonzalez and what his future might be. He wouldn't have had to seek political asylum if he wasn't accused of trumped-up, ridiculous charges. And forced in that manner to flee his own country. What needs to happen next is Mr. Maduro needs to heed the call of the international community and, quite frankly, the Venezuelan people, and release the data so that the whole world can see what the Venezuelan people, who they voted for, and that their democratic aspirations are met.
Well, the harmful effects of social media, especially on younger minds, has been a topic of debate in many countries. Many have advocated to ban access to such sites for the kids, while many have insisted other regulatory measure. Now, Australia has said that it will bring a law that will ban children's access to social media platforms. Here's a report.
Australia will introduce federal legislation to keep children off social media this year. The plan is to ban children from using social media with a minimum age limit as high as 16. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has described the impact of the sites on young people as a scourge. The minimum age for children to log into such sites as Facebook, Instagram is expected to be between 14 and 15 years. Australia's Conservative opposition leader Peter Dutton said he would support the government's proposed age limit. Analysts warn, however, that an age limit may not help troubled children. Many experts are also skeptical as they say that it is not even clear that the technology exists to reliably enforce such bans. But the Prime Minister said that parents expected a response to online bullying and the access social media gave to harmful material. Australia's move may or may not have open support from many quarters, but it will surely be keenly watched by concerned governments from all over the world, as worries and concerns grow about harmful effects of excessive use and exposure to the social media platforms. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Mexico's outgoing president's proposals to allow voters to elect judges face a final hurdle in Congress against a backdrop of opposition street protest. Lawmakers in the upper house, the Senate, are due to discuss President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's judicial reform plan today before a vote that could take place the same or the next day. The leftist leader, who will be replaced by his close ally Claudia Sheinbaum on October 1st, argues that the courts serve the interest of the political and economic elite. The bill was passed last week in the lower house by ruling party lawmakers and their allies. Opposition parties have vowed to vote against the proposals. Thousands of people, including court employees and law students, protested in Mexico City on Sunday against the plan, under which even Supreme Court judges would be chosen by popular vote. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said the country is now implementing a nuclear force construction policy to increase the number of nuclear weapons exponentially. Kim said that North Korea must more thoroughly prepare its nuclear capability and its readiness to use it properly at any given time in ensuring the security rights of the state. A strong military presence is needed to face the various threats posed by the United States and its followers, it said. And now weather updates from across the globe. The death toll from Super Typhoon Yagi jumped to 63 in Vietnam. Around 250 others injured in flood-related incidents. Yagi, according to meteorologists, the most powerful typhoon to hit northern Vietnam in 30 years, downed bridges, tore roofs off the buildings, and damaged factories after making landfall on Saturday, carrying winds in excess of 149 kilometers per hour. Some 1.5 million people were still without electricity in Vietnam on Monday, and a major bridge across the swollen and fast-moving Red River collapsed in northern Phu Tho province. Power blackouts caused major disruptions to factories in northern Vietnam, which is a major production hub for global tech firms such as Samsung and Foxconn. Also, the north was battling serious flooding on Monday, with several communities partially underwater. Disaster authorities said 130 locations in 17 cities and provinces across Vietnam's north were at high risk of flooding and landslides as more rain was expected in the coming days. And at least 11 people have been killed and 9 others went missing after torrential rains battered southern Morocco. The heavy rainfall also caused significant material damage, including the collapse of 40 homes and damage to 93 road sections. Heavy rains also disrupted electricity, drinking water supply networks and telephone networks. Early 200 people and 96 earth-moving machines have been deployed to restore traffic in the affected regions. The Interior Ministry urged local residents and visitors to exercise extreme caution due to the unstable weather there. Well, the Amazon in Brazil is facing one of its most severe droughts in recent years. Water levels in the rivers have fallen and access to clean water has become an uphill task for the locals. Our next report gets you more details on it.
In the heart of the Brazilian Amazon, a drought is putting lives at risk. The usually lush and vibrant region is facing an unprecedented water crisis as rivers dry up. Residents are struggling as they have to walk miles to fetch water. The plummeting water levels in rivers have deprived them of their traditional source of water. Now they are forced to buy tanks. The costs are taking a toll on the already impoverished rural community.
Without water, nobody lives. There is no way. Here, you can get water day and night. There is always water. I don't charge a penny. I pay for the water, but I don't charge them anything.
The elderly and sick are amongst the hardest hit, facing severe health risks as access to clean water becomes increasingly scarce.
About 800 meters, that's the distance of the beach. Now imagine a person in the hot sun, people with high blood pressure doing this journey. It gets difficult, very difficult. That is why we saw the need to mobilize.
The drought has been aggravated by wildfires, deforestation and rising temperatures. To make the situation worse, the Brazilian Geological Service has warned that water levels in more rivers in the Amazon basin are expected to hit historical lows. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, the water level of the Vistula, Poland's longest river, has also reached a new low as much of the country experiences drought conditions due to a persistent heat wave and reduced rainfall. Authorities reported a lowest water level of 25 centimeters at the Balvary Wislane station on the Vistula in central Warsaw on Sunday. However, a new record low of 24 centimeters was recorded on Monday, according to the Polish press agency. The weather officials' forecast indicate that the Vistula's water level could continue to decline in the coming days. The unusually high temperatures, ranging from 12 to 13 degrees Celsius above the September average, are attributed to a massive high-pressure system that has been directing hot air into Central Europe. And a fast-growing wildfire forcing evacuations in Southern California shows the danger the state now faces as record-smashing heat waves dry out the landscape just as the Santa Ana wind season is due to begin. More than 10,000 people are under mandatory evacuation orders due to a fast-spreading, uncontrolled wildfire in the state. The line fire also threatens thousands of homes, businesses and other buildings in San Bernardino County, east of Los Angeles. And indigenous people in the northwestern Peruvian state of Lambayeque battled wildfires with tree branches on Sunday. The wildfires are threatening 64,000 pine tree seedlings, potentially damaging the local economy. The wildfires have killed at least one person and 16 others suffered smoke inhalation poisoning in the region. Authorities have asked residents of the district to evacuate and sought support from the Peruvian Air Force to combat the fires. And Kate Middleton, Britain's Princess of Wales, announced on Monday that she had finished a course of preventative chemotherapy for cancer and would be carrying out a handful of public engagements later this year. But added her path to full recovery would be long. As part of the latest announcement, Kensington Palace released a highly personal video of Kate with William and their 3 children. Further, she said the last 9 months have been incredibly tough and the cancer journey is complex, scary and unpredictable for everyone. 42-year-old Kate underwent major abdominal surgery in January, which revealed the presence of cancer and has been undergoing treatment since then. Time to take a short break now. More news ahead. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD10 News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Moving on, after concluding his visit to Saudi Arabia, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is now visiting Germany. This will be his 3rd visit as minister to Berlin. Both India and Germany share a robust strategic partnership, and Germany is one of India's most prominent trading partners and among the largest foreign direct investors. Thereafter, the minister will travel to Switzerland for an official visit from 12th to 13th of September. And Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana accomplishes its successful 4th anniversary today. Launched in the year 2020 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a vision of fulfilling the objectives of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India, the scheme gave a boost to India's blue revolution. It took fisheries sector to the next level while enhancing production and productivity, strengthening fisheries infrastructure with fishers' welfare at the center. As India stands at 3rd position in global fish production, fisheries and aquaculture activities are an important source of food, nutrition and employment generation, an important source of livelihood for about 30 million fishers and fish farmers in the country. And India is gearing up for a groundbreaking 3-day event focused on the future of semiconductor technology. Semicon India 2024 kicks off in Greater Noida this Wednesday, bringing together industry leaders, experts and key government figures. With over 250 exhibitors from across the world, the event will position India as a potential global semiconductor hub. Here's a closer look at what's in the store.
Themed Shaping the semiconductor future, Semicon India 2024 is a landmark event that aims to boost India's semiconductor ecosystem. With support from the Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology and the India Semiconductor Mission, the exhibition is set to showcase the country's strides in electronics and semiconductor development. But the event is about more than just technology. It is about positioning India as a future leader in semiconductor manufacturing. Even though India's semiconductor industry is still in its early stages, the government has big plans. Several new semiconductor plants are under construction, including facilities in Gujarat and Assam. The Modi government has committed over $1 billion to boost the semiconductor and display manufacturing industry, with the aim of making India a self-reliant global power in this critical sector.
When Modi ji rolled out his vision about semiconductor nation, and subsequently then there were policies announced by very important two ministers, Ashwini Vaishnav ji and Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji. They really thought through what India should do about semiconductor.
The Indian government's production-linked incentive scheme is a major driver behind this push, attracting investments and creating jobs. This industry has the potential to create 25,000 direct and 75,000 indirect jobs in the coming years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also on many occasions emphasized how important semiconductor production is for India's long-term technology goals.
So far, as you know, we have had very good traction. So first project was Micron, which was approved. It's an AT&P. It is approved for almost 22,000 crores. And then came the Tata Fab. They are partnering with Taiwan foundry, one of the major foundry players, TSMC. And also Tata is coming up with one OSAT facility in Assam. Also CG Power is coming up with a OSAT facility in Gujarat. And their technology partner is Renesas Japan, which is a big name in semiconductors.
Semiconductors power everything from smartphones to cars. As India accelerates its manufacturing plans, this industry could be key to reducing import and India's dependency on other countries for this critical technology and in turn boosting local production. Dibyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
And the fourth edition of the Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo 4th Reinvest will be held from 16th to 18th of September 2024 at Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Union Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, took stock of the preparations. Tapas Bhattacharya reports for more.
India's premier renewable energy event, Reinvest 2024, will kickstart from September 16 to 18th at Mahatma Mandir, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. This is the fourth edition of the Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo that will showcase the latest in renewable energy innovation, bringing together global leaders, investors and experts.
And this Investor Meet, first time it is being organized out of Delhi. Otherwise, all other three, one virtually, two physically, they were organized in Delhi itself. The first ever conference, it is being held here, and 16th, this is being inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of the country.
Union Minister of New and Renewable Energy, Prasar Joshi, reviewed the preparations for the 4th Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo. During his visit, he closely monitored the progress and ensured that all arrangements are on track for the upcoming event.
This RE Investor Meet has been organized in Gandhinagar from 16th to 18th. RE Invest 2024 aims to highlight the India's significant achievement in the renewable energy sector, including the manufacturing and development, deployment. This will also help because many other representatives of the various countries, बाकी देशों से भी लोग, industry leaders, ministers, delegations आ रहा है, इसलिए This will help to connect the global investor community with Indian energy stakeholders.
The conference will span 2.5 days, featuring around 50 sessions on the latest trends, technologies and policies in renewable energy. With over 200 exhibitors, the expo will showcase groundbreaking products and services offering unmatched network opportunities. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
While the vice chiefs of all three Indian armed forces flew the indigenous light combat aircraft Tejas for the first time during a multilateral exercise in northwestern state of Rajasthan on Monday. Jodhpur Air Force Station is hosting the second phase of the multilateral exercise Tarang Shakti from August 29 to September 15th. During the event, Air Marshal A.P. Singh of the Air Force flew the single-seater LCA Tejas fighter jet, while the Navy and Army vice chiefs flew in the twin-seater trainer version of the LCA. Air Force of 8 nations, including India, are participating with their assets, and 16 other nations are witnessing the exercise as observer countries. And the 20th edition of India-US Joint Military Exercise Youth Abhyas 2024 is currently underway in northwest Indian city of Bikaner. The Indian Army contingent comprising 600 personnel is being represented by a battalion of the Rajput Regiment along with personnel from other arms and services. The US contingent of similar strength is being represented by the troops of 1 to 24 Battalion of the Alaska-based 11th Airborne Division of the US Army. Aim of the joint exercise is to enhance joint military capability of both sides to undertake counter-terrorism operations in a sub-conventional scenario under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. The exercise will focus on operations in the semi-desert environment. And India's new permanent representative to the United Nations, Parvathineni Harish, presented his credentials to the UN Secretary-General at the UN headquarters. Harish conveyed Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jayashankar's greetings to the UN chief. Harish arrived in New York last week to take charge as India's envoy to the whole world body. He hit the ground running and held bilateral meetings with several top UN leaders and his global counterparts. Well, the nationwide protest continued in response to the brutal rape and murder of a young doctor at RG Kar Medical College and Hospital. This decision comes despite a Supreme Court directed the West Bengal doctors to return to work immediately. As during the hearing on Monday, Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud directed the protesting doctors to get back to work by 5 p.m. on Tuesday and assured them that there will be no adverse action if they resume duty. But the doctors have emphasized that their demonstration is part of a larger people's movement, urging both the government and judiciary to recognize this fact. And some weather updates from across India now. Torrential rain disrupted normal life and caused flooding in several districts of East Indian state of Odisha owing to a deep depression over the Bay of Bengal that is likely to bring more misery to the state. Malkangiri district in southern Odisha was the worst affected, with administration announcing closure of schools and Anganwadi centers on Tuesday in the wake of severe flooding in the district. Over 1,000 people have been evacuated from flood-affected areas of Malkangiri and Koraput districts. The IMD predicted more rain and issued a red alert for 10 districts till Tuesday, prompting more preparedness from the state administration. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. PC manufacturer HP India is poised to enter into an agreement with Padgett Electronics, a subsidiary of Dixon Technologies, to produce notebooks, desktops and all-in-one PCs. The collaboration took place under the Production-Linked Incentive 2.0 scheme. It is expected to generate 1,500 direct jobs. Once fully operational, it aims to produce 2 million units annually. In a major relief amidst the wolf attacks in Uttar Pradesh's Bahraich Forest Department has captured the 5th wolf on Tuesday morning. The wolf was taken to a rescue shelter of the Forest Department. With this, only one wolf is left now. Meanwhile, the Bahraich District Administration has built shelter homes to protect the villagers from the menace. North Indian city of Mathura's all geared up to celebrate Radhashtami, the birth anniversary of Hindu goddess Radharani on Wednesday. The festival will kick off with vibrant decorations at temples, including the Ladliji temple in Barsana. Devotees will offer prayers and chant hymns in honor of Radharani. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Google faces its second major antitrust trial in less than a year. Mammoth crowd, intense devotion and vibrant energy for annual Ganesh Chaturthi festival.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and on to some business news now. Big tech major Apple unveils its artificial intelligence-boosted iPhone 16 range of smartphones at all its flagship Glow Time event in Cupertino on Monday. Apple is betting the AI feature will drive consumers to upgrade amid a slowdown in iPhone sales. Apple Intelligence, the company's AI software, will be used to improve its personal assistant Siri, as well as enhancing features such as understanding and identifying objects captured by the phone camera. A test version of Apple Intelligence will be available in the US version of English next month. Apple also unveiled iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max titanium models with a faster chip. Apple also unveiled new watches and AirPods with health-focused capabilities as well as hardware design improvements. The iPhone 16 lineup is the first Apple smartphones designed around these AI features, though those are expected also to be available on iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, the top-end versions of the previous generation devices. And Google is set to face its second antitrust trial since September 2023 against the Department of Justice over its alleged monopolistic power in the ad tech industry. This legal battle, taking place in a federal district court in Alexandria, Virginia, will center on allegations that Google has unlawfully maintained dominance in the multiple facets of the online advertising ecosystem. The lawsuit, initiated in January 2023 by the Biden administration's Department of Justice, has gained support from 17 state attorney general. Central to the case is the accusation that Google leveraged its leading search engine to enter the digital ad market, later solidifying its hold by acquiring competitors. And Wall Street's three major indexes closed high on Monday as investors looked for bargains after the previous week's sell-off. Investors had fled from equities last week when Friday's weaker than expected August jobs data followed weak manufacturing data on Tuesday, driving the Nasdaq Composite and S&P 500's biggest weekly decline. The S&P 500 gained 62.631 to end at 5,471.05 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 1.16% to 16,884.60 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1.2% to 40,829.59. And news now from the world of entertainment. American actor and stage legend James Earl Jones, the revered actor who voiced Star Wars villain Darth Vader, died on Monday at the age of 93 as Hollywood stars mourn his demise. Jones was also acclaimed for lending his voice to King Mufasa in Disney's animated feature The Lion King. Jones, a longtime sufferer of diabetes, died at his home surrounded by family members, as per his agent Barry McPherson, though no cause of death was provided. While you're watching DD India News Hour, time now for some sports news. Jannik Sinner tightened his grip on the #1 spot in the latest ATP rankings released on Monday after winning the US Open 2024. Taylor Fritz, who fell just short of becoming the first American men's single Grand Slam champion in 21 years, jumped 5 spots to return to top 10. Meanwhile, defending champion Novak Djokovic slipped to 4th place after suffering a shocking loss to Australia's Alexei Popyrin in the 3rd round of US Open. While 2020 runner-up Alexander Zverev has jumped up to take his place. And UEFA Nations League, Ousmane Dembele's stunner helped France to a relatively comfortable 2-0 victory over Belgium on Monday. Dembele thundered in a blistering second goal for Les Bleus 12 minutes after the interval in Lyon. Randall Kolo Muani had earlier hammered France into the lead against the run of play, with Belgium having shaded the opening exchanges. Didier Deschamps' side ultimately made their fortune count, and a much more accomplished second-half display was capped off by Dembele's excellent solo strike. Meanwhile, Mbappe was sent on midway through the second half and had 2 good chances but was unable to get on the score sheet. And informed Germany wants to build on their strong start to the Nations League when they take on the Netherlands in Amsterdam on Tuesday night. Julian Nagelsmann's side opened their campaign with a resounding 5-0 win against Hungary on Saturday and arrive in the Dutch capital full of confidence. The new-look German side, without the recently retired Thomas Müller, Toni Kroos and Manuel Neuer, have set their sights on the 2026 World Cup after their quarter-final run at the Euros on home soil in July. Meanwhile, in the other Group A3 match on Tuesday, Hungary will host Bosnia in Budapest. Well, India suffered a 0-3 loss to Syria in the second and final Intercontinental Cup 2024 match in Hyderabad on Monday. The loss meant that India finished last in the tournament behind Mauritius on goal difference. Up against a side ranked 93rd in the FIFA World Rankings, India conceded an early 7th-minute goal. Despite creating many chances in the second half, it was Syria who scored the second against the run of play. A third goal in the 96th minute was the final dagger. Meanwhile, new head coach Manolo Marquez suffered his first loss as India coach, and he's yet to neither win a game nor see his side score a goal. And Pathum Nissanka's brilliant 100 led Sri Lanka to a rare test victory against England in their home ground. Sri Lanka reached the target of 219 with untroubled ease on the 4th day at the Oval, with Pathum Nissanka's unbeaten 127 leading them to a consolation win in a 2-1 series defeat. After the impressive end to the final session on Sunday, Sri Lanka resumed at 94 for 1, needing a further 125 to win, which the visitors reached in a little over 2 hours. Sri Lanka finished on 219 for 2 to win by 8 wickets. And England captain Harry Kane will receive his 100th cap for the country when England will host Finland in the Nations League at Wembley. The 31-year-old Bayern Munich striker, who has scored 66 goals in 99 appearances for England since his debut in 2015, is the first Englishman to achieve this feat since striker Wayne Rooney in November 2014. The Football Association is set to pay tribute before the UEFA Nations League's fixture with a special pre-match ceremony that will include the presentation of a gold cap. And thousands of devotees bid a grand and emotional farewell to Lord Ganesha on Monday by immersing the idol of Lord Ganesha across India. Chants of Ganpati Bappa Moria urging the Lord to return early next year filled the air as devotees took their idols to beaches and artificial water bodies for immersion during Ganesh Visarjan. It is believed that the god who comes to the earthly realm on Ganesh Chaturthi returns to his celestial abode after immersion. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.